Good afternoon. Thank you coming back after the break. And in fact, I will not be as funny as Patrick was, so I will not speak Croatian, so I will rather speak with my Chenglish. And let's continue. And the topic for my presentation is Autodesk Cloud. And I just want to explain you heard about Autodesk Cloud throughout presentations before, and I believe you will hear about this also after my presentation. And I want to give you some overview what we are doing, how we are approaching this, and why. So if we are talking about platform, Autodesk Construction Cloud. So it covers entire workflow or all phases of building life cycle, from the very beginning, design to pre-construction, construction, up to the operational phase, so when people can use digital twin to use really the data which has been gathered in previous phases, which is design and construction, to really be able to operate efficiently the buildings or whatever it is. And in fact, there is a lot of other solutions on the market which are offering some collaboration in cloud. However, we believe that Autodesk Construction Cloud is the only really covering entire life cycle, where the data are really stored, and that we are breaking these silos between different phases of design. And you saw really a very nice example using our solution by, for example, Klima Oprema. And how we are approaching this, and I will be talking about this later on, but we have different solutions for design teams, different solutions for construction companies, and all the data which are gathered throughout these processes are becoming part of common data environment, CDE. So this is something which is, right now used very often, common data environment. All these informations are stored there, and not only informations are stored, but all communication on the top of the data are stored there. And as I mentioned, our solution is going from design up to the operation. And what we do have is Autodesk Tandem, which is covering this last part, this digital twin, where the digital twin can be stored and utilized, because, of course, at the end of the day, BIM data, this rich BIM data which are created, should be utilized for better understanding of the building operation, so for optimization, for better efficiency as far as material and energy is concerned, and so on and so forth. But let's have a look for collaboration. So let's move from this digital twin, which is the final result, let's say, to the beginning, to the design phase. And we believe that that collaboration is really very important part because of the transparency. We believe that cloud is helping you to make processes more transparent and to understand what's going on. And what we have is our cloud solution, where obviously it's Autodesk Construction Cloud, so we can connect to our solutions, like, for example, Revit on one side, where you can have a central file with all advantages of central file in cloud, and you can collaborate on this cloud model. You can have, for example, Civil 3D or Plan 3D, and you can work on 3D DWG models and files in cloud. But we are really open also for other solutions, and if there is another team who is using some other software, so we are supporting also Open BIM. And part of the quiz was, and you correctly answered that IFC is the solution which is helping to collaborate. And we are also supporting IFC, not only exporting IFC from our solutions, but also working with this in collaborative way. And using all these formats, we can create coordination model. And this coordination model can be utilized, obviously, for other stuff, finding clashes, for communication on the top of data, and so on and so forth. And just to visualize better how it can look during the design phase. So obviously during the design phase you have different trades, different professionals, and as an example I put here architecture, MEP, infrastructure, but of course you can have other stuff as well. And using tools you can collaborate, and obviously these are teams. And these teams can be in one office, or they can be scattered in other offices, or at home during COVID time. So they can work in cloud really efficiently. And obviously these teams, they are creating versions. So they are working on the model, and they are creating, for example, building or a bridge, whatever it is, and they are building it step by step. And obviously, they don't want to share the data immediately if I will exaggerate, if they will design one wall. They will share it until it's in some, let's say, revision phase, which they want to share. And our solution is offering a really smooth way to share it, because there must be some agreement in team. Okay, this is something we are at the stage when we want to share with other teams. So then it can be approved, and this, let's say, version will become revision, which will be shared with other teams. So, and in fact, what you can see later on, you can see what we are calling timeline. And this is this transparency, because what we can see is timeline when some team publish some data, and not only that, but also when other teams started to consume the data. So this is really something which cloud is helping to make 100% clear, okay, I did this, it's visible, and then other teams started to use it. So, and then of course, because this process is, is somehow non-linear, because the teams can share it in different times, they can consume it in different times, based on, of course, on their needs, and then they can really get the data. And this is how it can look like, so now you already see some snapshot of our solution, of our cloud offering, and I was talking about these teams. So basically, each team is very clearly visible. You can name it based on whatever you want, and you can see these timelines. And using our cloud solution, you can really very transparently see if they publish something or not, if it was being consumed by other people and not, or not. But not only this, you have possibility to visualize it without no need to install anything. You don't need Revit, you don't need Plan 3D, you don't need Civil 3D, and you can view the data. And the beauty of this is that you can view it. You can even compare what are the differences between the versions, because system can automatically recognize what has been changed, what has been deleted, what has been added, and we are working with what we call packages, because the data can be one file, or it can be several files. And it can be several files with some explanation. So basically you can attach also some other information related to this. And this is this information. This is where why I is in the middle of BIM, building information modeling. So basically you have all information available. And here is just some snapshot how it can look like. Basically, you have timeline, and you can see how the project has been developed. And you can just click, because you see that you have some data, and you can view it, as I mentioned, So, and as I said before, it can be one model, it can be several models, and you can attach other information, So you can add PDF file, Word document, Excel sheet with some additional information, just maybe to explain better what is going on, because you don't want to send it by email. You want to have it everything in one location to be really able to trace what's happening. And as I mentioned, inside of the solution, you can very easily compare. If you see, okay, some team published something, so I want to know what's happening, why they publish it, what are the differences, is it something which is useful for me, yes or not. So basically, I can make my decision based on this. And then I can say, okay, this is something which is interesting for me, or maybe not for me, but for my entire team. And then I can consume it. So it's really helping teams to share I'm used to say live data, because live, what I mean is because projects is developing across the time, and you should have access to this, and you should have access at the right time, at the right data. But not only this. What we can do is in cloud coordination. And coordination is something what is very important. And this is something which can help you, and thanks Maya for mentioning it during your presentation. This is something which is very important during design phase and pre-construction phase, because you want to avoid the clashes on the construction side. And this is something which really matters, because if there is some clash on the construction side, it's very expensive, time-consuming, and so on and so forth. And this is why we have coordination in cloud. And it's important to say again that this applies to our formats, Revit, DWG file, but also IFC or Navisworks file. So basically you can combine different file formats into one aggregated model to find clashes and to start to communicate it. Because this is very important, because don't forget, in cloud you have really up-to-date data. You have up-to-date approved data. And then you can start to find the clashes and you can start to communicate it. Which means that technically it works that you will specify coordination space. Okay, that can be one coordination space, there can be several coordination spaces, depending up to you what you want to achieve on your project. And then you are storing the data, you have stored some data because you are defining, okay, this is my coordination space. And then you can specify, okay, which models I want to aggregate inside of the cloud, which I want to view together. You can obviously save it. You can save the view that you will define just once, and you don't have to repeat it again and again. And this is important fun, because immediately you have some metrics with clashes, and you can start to focus. Okay, now at this stage of design, I have a lot of clashes here, so let's start to have a look at it. And as I mentioned, cloud is helping you to visualize it and start to communicate it. And then, for example, for BIM coordinator, it's important to mention, okay, this is not the clash, because this will be maybe solved on the construction side. But this is important one. This has to be solved. And you can start and you can create issues on the top of model. You will say, okay, this is the problem. And you can say who is supposed to solve it, basically. System has at the background the communication. It will automatically generate email notification. The guy who will be responsible for the clash will receive email notification with link, and he can start to work with this. And then you have view to all issues which has been created. And of course, these issues can come from clashes or with something else. It doesn't matter, because everything is aggregated in one list, and you can filter through this, and you can say, okay, now I'm interested only in clashes, issues coming from clashes, issues coming from something else, and you can really start to work with this. And, I'm talking about cloud. And what is also important, that cloud is integrated with desktop application, because yes, Patrick mentioned here, we are going to cloud to have different data sharing through the cloud, but we are not there yet. And what we want, and you are still working with desktop applications. And what we are enabling is to really smoothly collaborate across cloud with your desktop applications. And here I just prepared a simple slide what you can achieve. In cloud, you have clashes, which somebody created there, and it can come from clash detection. Maybe investor said, okay, I want to move this wall or something like this. But these issues can be populate it either to Navisworks, and we have bidirectional connection between Navisworks and Cloud. So basically, you can consume the issues, or you can create the issues from within Navisworks. And regarding Revit, we have one-way communication. Basically, the designer, using authoring tool Revit, he can visualize what is the issue, and of course, he should make changes and create new version in Cloud. So this is how we are using it. And now, you might ask, okay, now I have two ways to find the clashes, Cloud and desktop. And here is one parallel. If you are writing text, you have also several tools to review your text. So you can use autocorrect, or you can use spell check, or at the end of the day, you can print it out and you can make proofreading. And similarly, you can think about our solution for clash detection. Basically, using BIM Collaborate and Navisworks together. And I would call it combo, you know, because this is something which is important. Because what you can do quick check in Cloud. And you can have very clearly understanding, okay, I have these problems, I can start to solve it. So I can start to communicate it. Then you have Navisworks for proper check. But the best way is something which is possible with Navisworks, and add-on which is called coordination issue, which you can download freely from App Store, and you can work together, Navisworks and Cloud. And in fact, if you have data in Cloud, it was mentioned here several times, you can start to work on this. It's not only that your data are stored there, you can have a versioning there, and you can communicate on the top of data. But you can also use the data. And Patrick mentioned we are on the journey. In 5 years, maybe we want to really have a live sharing the data in Cloud. However, already nowadays you can benefit from this. And this is something which I'm talking as I'm talking about this as a Cloud data usage, because you can utilize the data. Patrick mentioned that you can predict the risk. If you have more projects in Cloud, system will help you to predict the risk in new projects and so on and so forth. And why it is? Because we have our Cloud based on Forge. And it helps us to create infrastructure for communication, but not only to us as an Autodesk, but also to the third parties. And what I want to mention is that there is already a huge number of third-party applications which are helping you to achieve something which, for example, Autodesk is not focusing on, which we are not targeting on, you know. So it can be, you know, point cloud in Cloud, point cloud in Cloud, or it can be, you know, 360 views on the construction site, and many more, you know. So basically, imagine that Autodesk Construction Cloud is hub for data, where other developers can connect, and they can do something already now. And then they can do something like connection to ERP system and, you know, many other things. And some of them are already available, or some of them can be developed because it's open API, and we have partners who are knowledgeable about this and who can help you with that. And, you know, and obviously, first, I recommend you to do some research, what is available, what is not available, to really have better understanding. And what I want to mention is that Autodesk Construction Cloud is excellent source of information where the data are stored, but usually it's not the only, let's say, storage in companies where the data are stored. So basically, what we are also offering is Autodesk Construction Cloud Connect, where out of box you have more than 300 connections or integrations with different solutions. Either it's different cloud storage, ERP system, project management systems, e-signature. Basically, you want to send, for example, for signing document to DocuSign and bring it back, for example. CRM system, and so on and so forth. And it's very useful because then you don't have to take care of it. What I'm used to say is action triggers reaction. If something will appear in Autodesk Construction Cloud and you know that from this folder you want to share it to SharePoint, system will do it for you and other way around. And if you are thinking about data in cloud, of course it can go further. And I just want to mention here that very recently we acquired The Wild, which is a company focusing on VR and AR, virtual reality and augmented reality. Just something which is very new, and of course this will be integrated more closely to our solution. But for information, it's already integrated with Autodesk Construction Cloud and Revit. And what you can do, you can sit in your office, your subcontractor or investor can be sitting somewhere else. If you are having glasses, Oculus or something like this, you can have a model in cloud, because this is where you are communicating, and you can view it in 3D. And not only this, it's also not only for virtual reality, but for those for augmented reality. And you will see in a sec also that you can start to add some information, you know. So basically we are saying you can express all your ideas, basically. You are connected to this data and you can add something. You can say, okay, in this room, maybe this furniture should be added or that thing should be added. You know, just also not only communicate, but also put the ideas into this. So this is, you know, like to understand that we are going and extending this. And now, what I would like to mention as the last part of my presentation is licensing, you know. So just because I'm talking about different solutions, and I was talking about Autodesk Docs. Autodesk Docs, basically common data environment with, well, I would call it standard functionality of common data environment, fulfilling ISO 19650. I know there will be another session related to this, with robust permissions, 2D and 3D comparison, versioning, and so on and so forth. You know, so a lot of functionality, but this is, let's say, entry level for collaboration in cloud. The next one is BIM Collaborate, which, and I was talking about this during my presentation. There is this design collaboration with this timeline and model coordination, basically clash detection in cloud. And let's say, and automatically, if we are talking about BIM Collaborate, it automatically contains the functionality of docs, basically common data environment. And let's say the most equipped services from our perspective is BIM Collaborate Pro, which enables you cloud work sharing for Revit, Civil 3D, and Pan 3D. Really live, working live on the project in cloud. And this is something to understand how it's technically working. And regarding licensing, Autodesk Docs is automatically part of AEC collection, or it can be purchased separately, and its name user subscription. Yep. Then we have BIM Collaborate, which is not part of AEC collection. It's sold separately. It's subscription-based, but it's possible to purchase either account or project-based license. And if I talk about this BIM Collaborate, account-based price is calculated about company revenue, and if it's project-based, then it's based on the value of the project, just as information for you. And then The most equipment which I mentioned is BIM Collaborate Pro, which is not, again, part of AEC collection. It can be purchased separately, and its name user subscription. I just wanted to give you overview because we are facing these questions very often, so maybe I answer some of your questions even before they come. Yeah.
Somebody asks.
So with that, thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't know if there are some questions.